The new band director was chosen.
This week, TCSN presents you with a documentary on concussions. All this and more on an all-new TigerCast News, May 20th, 2016.
From Eye of the Tiger, this is TigerCast News. Broadcasting from Studio 403 in Roseville High School.
Good morning, welcome to an all-new TigerCast News. I'm Austin Daly.
And I'm Nick Chang.
Last week, Roseville High School named their new band director. For more on the story, we go to Preston Walter.
Next school year, band will have a new teacher. Matt County will be expected to take place for Mark Toffelmeyer. County went to school at UCLA and even nearby high school Bella Vista. Junior Oliver Magzike thinks some band members might need time to adjust.
I feel like we're going to be a little bit judgmental on it. I think it will depend on the people, honestly. I'm sure we'll eventually get used to it and stuff like that.
Principal David Bird says that County is being proactive about getting started.
I think he is coming in with an idea of wanting to meet with students, wanting to talk to them about where they want the program to go. He wants to try and connect with kids and find out what the kids want to do with the program, and then add some of his ideas to that.
According to Bird, change may not be that big of a problem for the band program next year.
Like a principal who comes to a school brand new, you don't change everything, right away.
We will officially start as the new band director next school year.
Senior Awards Night took place on Monday in the Patty Baker Theater. Seniors were recognized for their grades and received scholarships. Student Kevin Carlson and McKenna Voglis were also announced as valedictorian and salutatorian.
It was really exciting to see all of my classmates, all their hard work pay off, and I thought it was a really good way to close out senior year, close out the year.
It's great to see so many seniors honored this year.
Today there is a special schedule for the rally in Rosecella. All classes are an hour and 15 minutes. Plus, there is one lunch that is 10 minutes longer, so you can check out the bands at Rosecella. The rally will be after your 4th period class.
We now go to Gabe Townsend for entertainment.
Thanks, Austin. At the beginning of this month, the game studio Infinity Ward released the new reveal trailer for their new first-person shooter, Call of Duty Infinite Warfare. The trailer has an astonishing 2.3 million dislikes, putting it the second most disliked video on YouTube, just underneath Justin Bieber's Baby. 5 days after the video was released, DICE released the reveal trailer for their new first-person shooter, Battlefield 1. The Call of Duty and Battlefield franchises have always been at big competition for as long as they've both been around. And for the most part, the Call of Duty games usually prevailed. But this time, I believe that Battlefield 1 is going to be the superior game. Battlefield 1 is going to take place in the past, while Infinite Warfare will take place in the far future. The problem Infinity Ward has is that they don't listen to the community. The community has been saying for years that they want a first-person shooter that takes place in the past and not the future. But every year, a new Call of Duty is released, and every year the game is farther in the future. Battlefield isn't going to have to rely on futuristic gameplay or an all-new movement system that's literally the exact same thing every year. Overall, I'm excited for the new games that are coming out in 2016, and hopefully one day a Call of Duty game will be released that actually appeals to what the gaming community wants. Now we go back to Austin with more news.
Thanks, Gabe. Shona Hunt is going to go to France as a foreign exchange student next year.
Junior Shona Hunt is going to France for 5 months next year, starting in August. Going to France is a dream she's had for a long time.
I do remember ever since hearing about it that it was something that I wanted to do, that I wanted to go to France and learn in France, be at a school in France, and I never really thought that it would be a reality. I always thought it was just one of those, that would be cool if, and then the next thing you know.
Hunt has mixed feelings about the trip.
Mixed feelings, because on the one hand, super excited and going off the walls crazy and texting everyone and all my teachers and all my friends and everything, holy crap, I'm going to France. And then it went from, yay, I get to go to France, to, oh crap, I'm moving to France for 5 months, and that's terrifying. So, mixed feelings, bittersweet. I'm all about communication and making sure that everything's clear, and with the language barrier, that's a huge setback, but I'm looking at it as a challenge to be met, not really as a fear.
RHS French teacher Susan Hoffman believes that the trip will help her become fluent in French.
I'm a little sad for her that she's only going to be there for half a year, because usually an exchange student's there for a full year, and it really seems like you need the whole year to really, boost your proficiency level, but she'll, 3 or 4 months is going to be great for her too. So
Shona plans to keep in touch with her friends and family, and the French class hopes to follow her through a blog on her journey.
It is frowned upon, though, to constantly be talking to people back home. You can still interact with them and write letters and text or call once a week or something, but it's looked down upon because it detracts from the immersion process. you know, the whole idea of being completely surrounded by French all the time. No, I do know that I'm definitely going to miss people here. Just recently I've kind of found my place, like finally, and knowing that I'm going to have to leave them all just as soon as I've found them, that's going to be really hard for me.
Shona hopes the trip will allow her to become bilingual and plans on returning to visit France when she is an adult.
Cram Night will take place on Monday, May 23rd from 6 to 7:30 p.m. There will be free food and prizes given away.
One quick sports note. 19-year-old Nielsen Paulus, a recent graduate of Roseville High School, entered yesterday's stage of the prestigious Amgen Tour of California in 5th place overall. Now on TigerCast, we have a special presentation from TCSN. With the 5th installment in the T5 series, TCSN presents Concussions, the Unfortunate Reality.
The concussion things touched me personally because I've got 3 kids, and my youngest daughter is a soccer player, and she went through in the last year and a half, 2 years, what were diagnosed as concussions or mild concussions 3 times, 3 separate occasions over a course of a 2-year time period. Likes to read. She's the kind of kid who goes to school, makes good grades, and when all of a sudden she can't focus, when all of a sudden her head hurts all the time, and you can see it affecting them academically and socially and emotionally, it's certainly not worth it to keep putting yourself at risk of hitting your head or injuring your head. So that's where we're at with her.
Over the past 5 years, the issue of concussions has exploded onto the national scene. It began in the NFL with Dr. Bennett Amalu, who discovered CTE in former NFL players. But with the spotlight pointed on the NFL, what impact do concussions have on places other than the NFL, such as Roseville High School? After all, a concussion in a professional sport is the same as a concussion in a high school sport. Now, the awareness is much greater than it ever was 20 years ago, which means that Roseville is much more informed on the topic, and so are its staff members.
You know, never formally diagnosed with a concussion. Certainly, if you've played football, you know that there is a difference between a concussion, I guess, and the term used to be getting your bell rung. So I think certainly back in the day, if you got your bell rung, it wasn't a concussion, and you just kind of dealt and healed up. And I think back in the day, it would have to be a pretty severe concussion to be diagnosed or taken out. And that's where education and research is helping today.
Playing football and wrestling, on more than one occasion, I've hit my head in a way that was severe. We used to call it getting your bell rung. I've had my bell rung in football practice and in football games. Did I have a concussion? I'll never know, because there just wasn't an awareness. You'd get pulled out of a game or pulled out of a practice, but what's interesting is the next day it'd be like, how you feeling? And if the answer was, I'm feeling fine, then it would be, all right, let's get back out there. And I think that's what's changed.
Well, I think the whole concussion topic has taken on a whole new dynamic within the last probably 5 to 6 years. I don't think there are any more concussions today than there probably were 20, 30 years ago, but simply the awareness of what a concussion might be and what the long-term impacts are of that are certainly much greater now in everybody's front door, I guess, everybody's hot plate topic.
It's probably been an issue for a long time. It's not like just now athletes are starting to find themselves injured and hitting their heads in contact and even non-contact sports. It's been happening for a while, but I think our knowledge and our understanding of this issue, I think medical research has put a spotlight on it. I think because of what's going on in the NFL, that's elevated it, and if there's any good that comes out of that, it's that there's greater awareness and there's more people asking questions about it. So I think overall that's been a positive thing.
Moving forward, athletic programs are trying to become more aware of the fact that concussions are not something that can be ignored. In saying that, the medical field has needed to adjust as well. New treatment for students who have sustained a concussion are already being implemented at Roseville.
Initially, with the diagnosis of a concussion, a student or a patient would be possibly put on total cognitive rest. So that's complete rest, which is really very hard to do because there's no visuals. And so that's really hard, not to use the phone or TV or read. It's all those things you'd usually do to entertain yourself or consume your mind, but really you just gotta let your mind rest. And then it's hard not to use your mind. So they put them on complete cognitive rest. And then we just have to really go by how are you feeling and what can we do to support you, so that might come out like we might ask the teachers to reduce homework or testing and not to completely take it away, but when they return, maybe only have them test on those problems or that kind of situation that demonstrates mastery. So in a math test, not all the problems, but those problems the teacher thinks would provide information that they have the concept.
Keep going. I mean, we're learning a lot. That's when we went through our own personal thing with our own child. We were told the amount of research and the way that people are approaching the concussion situation is changing monthly and in a good way. They're learning more, and that's how science works and that's how medicine works. And I think when you get a lot of people putting a lot of time and energy and money into kind of figuring out what's best and learning from it, we got to keep that going.
Not all headaches are concussions, so we just need to make sure that parents and players can tell the difference. I think if you've played the game, you realize the difference between a mild headache because it's hot, because the helmet's pressuring my forehead, my temple, whatever it might be, and then a result of a blow to the head that all of a sudden, I don't feel right. So.
This year, Roseville High School has had a host of students who have suffered concussions. The sports these athletes play range from football, cheer, soccer, and more. Having a concussion means some reduced homework and making sure that your brain does not get overworked.
They just kind of let me take it a little bit easier, but I didn't get really anything big. They kind of gave me a couple extra days to turn things in, or they just let me kind of not go 100% on my work. So.
It's very boring. You still dress out for practice, but you can't actually do anything. You just sit and watch. You're not really supposed to work on homework because they want you just to rest your brain. So you kind of just watch your team go full out without you, so that's always a bummer. But you can still be involved and support. It's just not nearly as fun. You still have all your homework. You don't get to sit out of anything really unless it's super severe. Most doctors say you're fine. They just try to encourage you to rest as much as you can. So if you can take a break from homework instead of just studying for 4 hours straight, do little increments. They recommend don't sit and watch TV. Try not to read as much. Just really sit and kind of do nothing, which is hard when you're an athlete. You're used to always go, go, go. So for a month or so to be off, it's almost weird.
Well, what I would do is I wouldn't really have time. I would take a lot of naps, that's for sure. I'd have naps after school. I could even take naps in school if I really felt like I needed to. But yeah, that was about what I did for resting my head. I think how they handled it with me was just fine. I mean, it's pretty drastic how you can't do a lot of things and they want you to not do as much schoolwork, maybe skip midterms, whatever. But I think it's right because when you do get a really bad one, it does really affect your head. So you can't really think well. So I think it's good to not risk it and just miss at least a couple games if you have to.
Students with concussions is one thing, but having a family member suffer from concussion-induced brain injury is another. The impact of one concussion can have a major ripple effect.
I mean, you can just have a regular conversation with him and not really know that anything's happened to him.
but he's very forgetful, and sometimes he'll like tell the same story like over and over and over again, and you just have to say like, okay, I've heard this enough times, and yeah, but sometimes like it kind of affects his like emotional side. Like he can get really angry really quick sometimes, and it can get kind of scary, but in the end it turns out it's fine though. Whenever he's like struggling to remember something, if I just kind of like ask him questions, like if he can't remember something that happened, if I just kind of ask him questions about what happened, like where he was when something happened, or like what was going on, it kind of helps him like jog his memory, and like it kind of helps him remember stuff.
Has done to my family. You know, I call it the ripple effect. What traumatic brain injuries do to all the people around me. You know, I've lost everything. My home, my marriage, I rarely see my kids anymore. It breaks my heart to think about, because I have great friends that I played with, lifelong friends. But unfortunately, I wish I'd never played.
George Visker, 57 years old, ex-NFL defensive lineman for the San Francisco 49ers, may not be famously known for his short 2-year NFL career, but he should be known for his 36-year battle with the brain injury hydrocephalus. The cause of Visker's struggles stem from his long years of playing football and repeated concussions. Over the course of his 57-year lifespan, Visker has had more than 9 brain surgeries, has suffered from grand mal seizures, and by the grace of God, is still standing. This is the story of George Visker.
My rookie year with the 49ers, we're playing the Cowboys, and early in the first quarter, I suffered another major concussion, was ear hold on a Dallas tight end trap. Don't remember that game or the following game against the Rams. I was told a week and a half later by the team doctors and trainers, laughingly, they said I went through over 20 smelling salts during the Dallas game to keep me on the field. And it was a joke back then, they called it getting your bell rung. And real quick, going back to the term getting your bell rung, I take great offense to that. People, if they really step back and think about it, it's an injury to the most important organ in your body, and we make light of it. Head injuries, nobody wants to talk about them. When you have knee surgeries and shoulder surgeries and you limp and you know what, and it's not a big deal. When you talk about having a brain injury that impacts your cognitive functioning, no one wants to talk about it. My wife used to be on me because I would speak at conferences all over and tell people I have brain damage, and God bless her, but she was concerned that no one's going to ever hire you. You keep talking about you have brain damage, which I do, but I just overcompensate for things, and I work my tail off. And by the grace of God, I do function well for who knows what reason. But it's that dirty little secret that no one wants to talk about. I developed hydrocephalus, water on the brain. But hydro means water, cephalus is head, so I have water on the brain from concussions. And so I've had 9 VP shunts, and a VP shunt is they drilled a hole in my skull. There's a tube goes in the middle of my brain. There's a little pressure valve back here behind my right ear, and there's a tube goes down the side of my neck. You can actually see it right there, it looks like a vein. And it goes into my abdomen, and as we're speaking right now, it's draining spinal fluid out of my brain. So when it goes out, plugs up or whatever, within hours or a day, I'll go into a coma, and I need to have brain surgery or I'll die, basically.
Concussions should never be treated lightly, and the importance of recognizing and treating one can never be understated.
A concussion isn't a joke, and it's not getting your bell rung. and you're not being a sissy, whether you're playing men's or women's sports. You're not being a sissy when you step out. If you think you took a good shot and you can't think clear and you got cobwebs and you don't know where you're at, you know what? Either tell one of your teammates, tell your coach, if you can function like that. Usually you can't because you don't know you're injured, or tell one of your, or if you're one of the teammates, even better yet, and you see one of your players that's just not there, right? You know what? Tell the coaches and the trainers and get he or she out of there, because it's not a joke, and it's not worth it. And I wouldn't want anybody to go through what my family's gone through the last 35 years.
That's it for us today on TigerCast News.
And remember, we're always on eyesoftigernews.com. See you next time.